is usually where I sit throughout the day whenever I'm here at the archive. These are each of Jill's books. I think she's probably most famously known for Circus Days. That's probably her most seminal work that a lot of people know. But in all honesty, there's so many different aspects about Jill's work that people just don't understand. And now being able to see it firsthand as the archivist, she had so much more work than people even realized. Everything from her days shooting in Ireland, the firehouse, obviously her first book, Resurrection City, to the more upbeat and fun Jill's Dogs, A Time That Was, shot in Ireland again, and of course Street Cops. And surrounding me is each and every one of the photos that made it into these books and each and every photo that didn't. So over the past month, we've been organizing all of her New York City work because, well, I can't tell you why yet, but we've been organizing all of her New York City work. And most of the work is work that nobody's ever seen before. If you're a fan of Jill's, you might know that she had something planned before her death. But if you don't know, you're gonna have to do some digging, because I'm not saying anything. Hi, my name is Jared Thomas Tapie, and I'm the archivist here at the Jill Freedman Estate. And today I'm gonna be taking you through some of the miscellaneous photos of Jill's protest work that's gone unseen for years. Today at the archive, we're gonna be looking at some of Jill's miscellaneous protest work. Now, Jill was always a big activist. In fact, she was often called...
In the firehouse, they called me the liberal, and so the cops, but I said, damn right, damn right.
Now, obviously, her first body of work, Resurrection City, was all about the Poor People's Campaign in Washington, D.C. But once she moved to New York City, she also did a lot of miscellaneous protest work. So today, at the archive, we're going to be looking through some of those photos. Now, much like the rest of her New York City work that has gone unseen, a lot of this has gone unseen as well. This dates back from the 60s all the way up until the 90s, which is about the same time that she shot in Manhattan and around New York City. The only difference is that all of these photographs within these two bundles right here are her miscellaneous protest work, as opposed to all of her street photography. But I've pulled some selects here, and I'm excited to show you what we found. So I'm back home, it's the day after. Sitting behind me is Jill's personal computer. I have Jill's personal computer in my studio back at home, and on it are a lot of the high-res scans of some of the protest work. So I wanted to go through and show you some of the high-res scans of some of this work and kind of talk about it a little bit more in depth. These are some of her scans from Circus Days. I'm going to try and go through and pull some selects from the protest work that she did throughout New York City. So I'm going to put those up and then we'll talk about them. What I find super interesting is that a lot of the things that Jill was photographing all the way from the 60s through the 90s are a lot of the same issues that we experience today. We really haven't progressed in a lot of aspects as it pertains to civil rights issues, international issues, poverty, every single thing that you could possibly think of that we struggle with today, we've been struggling with for years and years and years. And so in the grand scheme of things, if we look back through the history of protests, and especially through the work of Jill, we realize that, yeah, we've made some progress somewhere, but for the most part, we're really kind of arguing for the same things, the same sort of civil liberties. And Jill says this perfectly in the foreword of her book Resurrection City. She says, "Of course, it was all old stuff from the start. Another nonviolent demonstration, another march on Washington, another army camping, calling on a government that acts like the telephone company. Even poverty is ancient history. Always have been poor people, still are, always will be, because governments are run by ambitious men of no imagination, whose priorities are so twisted that they burn food while people starve, and we let them. So that history doesn't change much but the names. Nothing protects the innocent. and no news is new. Jill photographed every single type of protest imaginable that you could possibly think of. Feminist issues, Palestinian issues, civil rights issues, economic issues, even the beginnings of what we now call the manosphere and this sort of toxic masculinity and the degradation of men. And of course, the Vietnam War protests that were very abundant during this time period, photographing all sides of the spectrum, including, much like the arguments that we have today on left versus right, the right-wing people who think that just because you're upset about something happening in the country means that you should get out of the country. The same sort of sentiments are seen in the 60s and 70s. We've got campaigns for nuclear disarmament, abortion issues, Cuban issues, protests about British troops in Ireland, protests filled of animal rights activists, LGBTQ+IA protests, religious protests, even protests about local things happening here in New York City like rent, just showing that all of these problems that we have now that we're so passionate about haven't really made much progress. As you can see, there's a lot of the same sort of problems that have been going on for years, and the same types of protests have been happening for years. I included some of my photographs from my protest work here in New York City, and I think that the comparisons are quite stark. Now, all of these are only one small section of her New York City stuff, and we can't show you anything, but this is our archive process right now. What we've been doing is separating each of her decades that she shot in, starting in 1963, I believe, until 1997 here in New York City. And what we're doing is going through chronological order and organizing each one so that anybody who visits the archive is able to go through and see her photographs from start to finish. So with new boxes that came in, fresh, new, nice boxes, we're going to start organizing these in chronological order. Laid out before me here is I doubt that it's all of Jill's work from the 70s, just because it's pretty sporadic and I keep finding new things in every single box that I open that are all over the place. But that's why I'm here. So the goal is to get everything organized. What I've done here today, I already did the 80s. The 80s are boxed up, at least most of them are. I'm sure that there's some 80s somewhere else around here. But in front of us right now is all of her work from the 70s, hopefully from 70 to 79. I think today alone, I've probably handled over 1,200 photographs between the two decades. Now, what we're gonna do is combine each decade. I usually try and do 100 photographs to a box just to keep it nice and even, and we'll go from there. I'm also gonna pull some selects to show you guys some of my favorite finds from the day, just because there was some very interesting things, again, that nobody's ever seen, and I'm excited to, be able to kind of tease a little bit to see what, what I'm seeing and what's interesting to me, and what will probably be interesting to you. So I guess what's next is getting them organized.
I would go and shoot till I ran out of money. That's all I thought about was my projects, what I was doing. You're taking a picture because you're curious, or you want to know, or you want to see, or it's a good picture. Gives a fuck. This is not an intellectual, I am a camera. Like the best pictures are smart people using their brain. When I'm after a picture, I try not to do anything stupid, but I want that picture. And I want more than just a snap, Well, I'm telling a story. I'm a storyteller. And, a camera's a camera. I don't care if it's film, digital, whatever, I'm after the picture. A stand-up broad. No, I I'm not in there to take advantage of them or make them look bad, unless they're assholes doing bad stuff. Then gladly. I didn't feel I needed to know any more than I knew, because I was reporting what they were doing. It wasn't about me. I want to get out of my own way, because what I think doesn't matter. What I'm doing is their story. I'm not doing my story. I don't have time for, I've put up with a lot of assholes, and I've been attacked plenty. Where do you get off of it? Shut the fuck up, I'm here. Well, I'm not attacking people. I'm not making them look like complete morons. And people know when you're genuinely interested. They know. That you're not just playing with them. And you're not trying to bust any balls, making them look like freaks. Well, I have one rule, which I don't take your picture if you don't want me to. Unless I'm doing a story. Like, if I get some perpetrator, of course I'm going to take the pictures. But if I'm just walking in the street that people say don't, then I won't. What the fuck do I need them for? I don't need to look at them again. But most people love having their picture taken, as you know.
I made some great progress today, for real. Today was the first day that I feel like I've actually been able to break the ice and get things rolling. You're currently sitting on everything that I did today. So let me show you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. In all, I completed 11 boxes today. Each one filled up with, at the minimum, 100 photographs from each of the corresponding years that she photographed here in New York City. Starting from 1970 to 1974. She shot so much between 1975 to 1976, filling up 2 boxes of 1976 photos. In 1978 to 1979, the predominant amount of photographs in this box are from 1979. In the 80s, 1980 to 1982. 1982 was a big year for her as well, shooting between, I want to say probably about 60 photographs that she printed off, and then 1982 to 1983, and then kind of slowing down from 1984 to 1988. Now, in general, the big problem that we have here at the archive right now is that a lot of the photographs are printed numerous amounts of times. I'm talking like she would print off 20, 25, 30 prints of the same exact photograph. And we think that this is because she was actively selling the prints during her lifetime, and any time that she would have an exhibition show, she would sell them. But as her archivist, it's a lot to deal with, to go through each and every single box and to see over and over and over and over again the same photographs, some dated, some not dated. Now, is it really important to go and try and find the dates on all of these things? Maybe at a certain point, but chances are every single photograph that has no date on it is dated somewhere else within the archive. That's the important thing. She didn't just print off one photograph, usually ever. So we know that even if we find a copy of it that has no date, eventually somewhere we'll find one with a date on it. And that's true because there's a bunch of them from the 70s in the no date boxes. And as I was going through the 70s portion today to put into boxes that had dates on them, I found a lot of them that had dates on them. What's really interesting though is that Jill, whenever she did put dates on them, everything is handwritten on and it's signed by her. Even if they are like reprints, she always wanted to maintain authorship. So she always added her signature and then she would put the date on it, but in a very specific way. And let me tell you why. Behind me are all of her contact sheets, starting from 1965 all the way to London, circus days, Ireland in 1973, all the way through 1976, down here, 78, 79, Ireland again, Morocco, Christmas in New York, 83, 86, down here when she lived in Miami, all the way to 97. Now, each one of these contact sheets has a very specific code that she wrote. It's interesting to me because she developed, I think, most of her work, both print-wise and contact sheets and her negatives. So she created a whole entire system of numbers and key letters that coordinate with every single one of these contact sheets. And I'm almost certain that she printed every single one of her contact sheets that she's ever taken. This last hour of work is usually the time that I get to go and explore the archive a little bit. I'm usually here till about 6:30 to 7 p.m. It's about 5:30 right now. So what I'm gonna do is look around the archive and bring you guys around to show you what is here, because it's way more than just her photographs. And the perfect example of exactly what I'm talking about is right here. Just hiding underneath the table that I do all of my archiving on is a bunch of memorabilia from all of the things that Jill has been in the past, including what I just found. One of the videos that I just made on Instagram about Jill was about Resurrection City and how Life magazine used her photos. Guess what I found? That's right, clippets from the original Life magazine where her photographs were published. I mean, how sick is this? This is Jill's right here, and you can even see she signed it. Again, she had to put her name on everything. I don't blame her. And then this is her photograph right here as well. I'll put some high-res scans of both of those. And this one, and this one. There's her signature again. Moving on, we have the documentary Everybody's Street that she's featured in as well. If you haven't seen it, I suggest you go watch it. And boom, front and center is her photograph from her book, Street Cops. This was a film about New York City street photography featuring Bruce Davidson, Elliot Erwitt, Jill Freedman, of course, Bruce Gilden, Joel Meyerowitz, Rebecca Lepkoff, Mary Ellen Mark, Jeff Mermelstein, Clayton Patterson, Ricky Powell, Jamel Shabazz, who I've also done a video on, Martha Cooper, Boogie, Max Kolzloff, and Luke Sante. It's the only tool that will stop time itself. We flip it open and we see one of her legendary shots from Street Cops. I just found some of her writing. If you didn't know, Jill was a notorious writer as well, and she was an eloquent writer. I had no idea before I started working at the archive just how much she wrote. And this piece is titled From the Sublime to the Ridiculous, and it says, "Everybody always talks about their big book, but they usually die before they do it. If you care about things like this, you see how things are going, how things work, but rarely can you control them. You're born, things happen, you die. Some of the things that happen are funny, some are not. Good and bad, ups and downs, sound and fury, signifying nothing. All you can do is take the pictures." And if you're wondering what the big book is, that's the big book. I'm not showing you anything inside of it, but just know it's there. I found some saved newspaper clippets as well, talking about Jill's circus days, discussing her artwork, as well as Jill Freedman's tools and techniques. There's far too much to look at in these boxes right now. I could get lost in there for 32 days easily. So I guess let's move around the archive and see what else we find. I've always wanted to check those out. First one. Some flashes. Now, if you knew anything about Jill's work, especially when she was doing Firehouse and Street Cops, she had a flash on her camera almost all the time because most of it was shot at night. Yeah, this bag is literally just full of flashes. All these old school ones. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 flashes. And these are kind of dirty. On to the next one. I guess we'll go with the big one here. One of the big ones. This is all of her enlarging equipment. So again, if you didn't know, Jill printed off just about every single one of her photographs. So in this one is all of her enlargers, as well as another flash, a light meter, I've never even used a light meter, so I don't even know how to tell if it's working. So this one is completely full of all of her enlarging equipment. Very dirty. This one feels like cameras. I could be wrong though. Guys, would you believe it? Another flash. Quantum turbo battery. I don't know what these were used for. She had quite a few of them. Just batteries. I'm going to assume that this was for if she was shooting digitally. They were like portable battery chargers, I would assume, so that she could stay all day out shooting. That's probably my guess. They were probably used when digital photography was first coming about and she made a transition over to digital. And all of the batteries back then were super short-lived. So if I had to guess, these probably were like portable batteries to charge her camera. This one is very big and quite heavy. Guys, we did it. Leica, Nikon AF, Olympus OM1, another light meter. This is to check your contact sheets and your negatives. Nikon AD, another Nikon AF. This one seems to be very broken and very dusty and very rusty. Olympus OM4, probably doesn't work. And another Olympus OM4. Again, probably doesn't work. Whoa. This is just chock full of lenses. This is an old Olympus. A lot of these are Olympus. These must have been her starting off ones. Barely any of them are covered. They don't look terrible. All right, but screw all the cameras. I just got permission from the estate that I can show off some of the contact sheets from New York City. I can't contain my smile because it's so fucking cool. I'm gonna show you some of the contact sheets that she has here from New York City. I can't zoom in on like, you know, the specific photos and everything like that, but I can at least show you what she did. So I'm gonna show you, what should I show you? I guess we can leave it up to you for the next video, what you guys wanna see, but for right now, each era is just so like different in what she was shooting. It's absolutely insane. Like the 80s was so party heavy and so sex heavy, and that really started in the late 70s in a lot of her photographs. But the 60s is a lot of protest work, and the 70s is a lot of protest work throughout New York City. 1976. So basically right here, 7625 is the custom code that she created for just about every single one of her photographs, meaning that the year was always written first. So 76, it's going to be the same as every single photo that I'm looking throughout the archive. That's how I find out where they were shot at and what time period. I just saw this one today and I put it in the box this afternoon, but this is the process in which she shot it. You can see that she really took her time to work out a scene, and then by the time that she got back home and developed, this is the one that she went with. And then that's a photo of Jill right there. Now there's just too many to go through, so I don't really know where to start when it comes to the contact sheets. So if you guys know of any certain eras that you want to see of some of Jill's contact sheets, let me know and I'll see what I can do. But we're not done exploring yet because I found something all the way down buried on the bottom shelf. So not only did I find some negatives, I also found some Polaroids that I had no clue that she shot. Shall we look through? Now, these unfortunately are not dated, but let's see what we got. Okay, I can guarantee you that nobody has seen these before. These were sitting at the bottom of some of her photographs down here, and these photographs are taken in South Florida, probably somewhere near Miami-ish, where she went after she got cancer before moving back to New York City. And these photographs are photographs of what I can only describe as a collection of images after Hurricane Andrew hit Florida. Particularly like one family and the surrounding area. Okay, with all that being said, my day is over here. I've been here for far too long and I got lost down here for a little bit. So instead, I'm gonna take you back to my place. Okay, well, that's going to be it for today's video. I hope that you enjoyed seeing some of the behind the scenes of what we're working on at the Jill Freedman Estate archive. This is probably the only time I'm ever going to say this. I don't usually ask people to subscribe, but I do think that this is a very big portion of what I'd like to show off here on the YouTube channel, some behind the scenes and deep dives into the Jill Freedman archive, including all of her projects. So if you want to subscribe and see more of that in the future, I will be doing more videos on her specific work, like Street Cops and Firehouse and Circus Days and some of the New York stuff that we can show off, as well as more protest stuff from Resurrection City. So all of it is going to come to light, and I'm hoping to get through all of that, you know, within the next few months. I am really excited about this opportunity, not only for myself, but I do genuinely believe that Jill Freedman is one of the best photographers that I've ever been able to study. And seeing the amount of work that I've now seen that the general public has no idea even exists is really exciting, because I get to be a part of that process to unveil it. So today's video is just a little bit of that unveiling. You can follow more of Jill Freedman's behind the scenes stuff that I post on her Instagram at Jill Freedman Photo. You can follow her stuff there. I post some reels about her work that I collaborate with on my Instagram, as well as pictures of the archive and everything like that. So, you know, if you're wanting to see a more in-depth look at Jill's work, that's the place to do it, as well as here on YouTube. You can find my work on Instagram at Jared Tapey, articles about Jill and articles about photography that I write on my Substack, The Creative Connection, as well as over on TikTok and my website. There's not really much else to say for this video, except my usual get out there and get shooting and keep moving forward, and I'll see you guys on the next one.